pretty much everything, every single thing you do is easier on retention. Pretty much everything. Shopping for me, man, I would go shopping a lot. Not like to buy a bunch of stuff, but just to get, food shopping. And I remember being a lot more effective. Like I was a bit of a ninja. Like I had this crazy focus, man, when I was in the supermarket. That was 100% easier. And yeah, I certainly had like there was a certain movement, way I was moving around the supermarket. It was like the universe, it was in me and it was guiding me to whatever that means. I was doing that. And the same applies to everything, man, when you're on retention. There's just a focus and energy you have. And I know that's really obvious, but it needs to be said. It needs to be emphasized, If we don't, because dude, I forget about retention. Honestly, man, this is weird. I mentioned this on a post recently. I find myself forgetting about how good retention is. And yet it's the best thing ever. Okay, it's not the best thing ever, but it's really good. It's a great tool. And it makes everything easier, man. It makes everything easier. When I was walking up the street a couple of days ago, I saw this dude and I thought, what would be really good to start the day? A bit of a social freedom challenge. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go up to the guy, give him a compliment, because that was genuine. He had this really cool hat. I thought, man, I'll tell him about his hat. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I went up to him and I said, hey man, I think your hat's really awesome. And he was an older guy, and I didn't get the impression that too many people, would go up to him and speak to him. And he was like, oh man, thanks, that really made my day, thanks. And I was like, wow, I could have done that without retention. But with retention, I just did it. I just did it, man. Man. Another example is when I was, a couple of months ago, I went to a meditation retreat. And this is, to be fair, this is probably to do with the meditation, not so much retention. But me and this girl were just leaving the center, and she'd lost her train ticket, right? So she couldn't get back. And I actually offered to pay for it right up, like straight up. It was like 60 quid. And I was like, why did I just do that? Other than being a good human being. But seriously, why was I so cool with that? And there was something about retention making you more financially fluid, right? There's a certain ease that you have with money when you yourself feel good and confident. It just extends into everything, So if you can, retain and then just observe yourself, just watch yourself. See what happens when you retain. Because, dude, a bunch of different things happen. It's not always the same experience. Things aren't always going to be easier. Sometimes they're harder, man. But when they're easier, it's like, whoa, what is this, dude? This is incredible. And it's like, and I mean this with all due respect, it seems like the world is kind of asleep in contrast to the energy which you have. And this is why I hold retention lightly. Because you can be, very energetically loaded, whereas a lot of other people may not be. So that's why you've got to keep it chill on retention. Find a balance. But, the core message though is, man, enjoy how much easier everything is. Enjoy the flow that you have. Enjoy the lack of thoughts that you have, man. It's beautiful, man. And, I love telling you guys about it because I don't get to tell many people about it in general, because people are not really receptive to this. Well, actually, they are. That's not true. They are. People do know this deep down, right? Just as we know this deep down. It's just they haven't become aware of it enough to care about it. And that's okay. But we're talking about it now to really, remember this stuff. I've mentioned in the past, I forget about how good retention is. I love retention. I practice it all the time. I forget how good it is. I forget how easier it makes things. It's the mind. The mind is weird. But anyway, the message of this video, dude. Retain, observe yourself, watch how easy life becomes, and really savor that. It's not always going to be easy, dude, but when it is, enjoy it. Really enjoy it, man. Make the most of it. Go and do some crazy stuff. Responsibly. Do some wise stuff, in fact. Just make the most of your life is what I'm basically saying. All right, brother. That's it for me, man. Enjoy and peace.